The bomb's timer showed 43 seconds when Commander Vera Kethshan pressed her plasma pistol against my temple. "Disarm it, or we both die," the alien commander said. I smiled. Not because I wanted to die. Not because I had some secret plan. I smiled because after 11 years of humanity being treated like galactic vermin, an Arxelian fleet commander, one of the most decorated warriors in their empire, was asking a human for help. "Your weapon won't matter in 38 seconds, I said calmly. "But if you let me work, we might both walk out of here." Her violet eyes narrowed. The Arxelians were tall, elegant in a predatory way, silver-blue skin, sharp features that looked carved from ice. Vera stood nearly 7 feet, her ceremonial armor scarred from 100 battles. She was beautiful in the way a blade is beautiful. Dangerous and precise. "You planted this device, human." "No. The Vrexel did. They want us both dead. Your fleet and my salvage team. Check the isotope signature if you don't believe me." She didn't lower the pistol, but I saw her second in command, a male named Toreth, scanning the bomb with his wrist unit. His face went pale. "Commander, he's right." Vrexel quantum signature. "This is a cascade device." 31 seconds. "A cascade bomb," I said, already on my knees, pulling my toolkit from my vest. "Destroys everything in a 2-kilometer radius by collapsing local spacetime. Nasty piece of work." The Vrexel used them on Kepler Station. Killed 8,000 humans. "I know what it does." Vera's voice was ice. "My sister died at Meridian Outpost to one of these." 26 seconds. I paused, looked up at her. "Then you know I'm not bluffing when I say this is a Mark 7 variant. The Arxelian military has no disarm protocol for it. And you do, lady? I've been disarming bombs since before your empire knew humans existed." Aod Sergeant Marcus Cole, Terran Defense Force, retired. I turned back to the device. Mostly retired. The bomb was elegant in its horror, a sphere of crystalline circuits wrapped around a quantum core. Arxelian engineers would approach it mathematically, looking for the logical sequence. The Vrexel knew this. They designed it to punish logical thinking. 18 seconds. "You're not even looking at the primary circuit," Toreth said, his voice rising. "The disarm node is clearly. The disarm node is a trap. Touch it and we vaporize instantly." I pulled a piece of chewing gum from my pocket, started working it in my fingers. The Vrexel expect a logical approach. They don't expect this. "What are you?" I jammed the gum into a tiny gap between 2 circuit plates, creating an insulation bridge. Then I pulled a flask from my jacket and poured whiskey directly onto the quantum core. "What are you doing?" Vera grabbed my shoulder. "Thermal shock. The alcohol drops the core temperature just enough to create a 3-second delay in the cascade reaction. That gives me time to—" I yanked 2 wires simultaneously, crossed the feedback loop. The timer froze at 07. Then it went dark. Silence. The hum of the station's life support. My own heartbeat, surprisingly steady. "It's done," I said. Vera stared at the dead bomb, then at me. Her pistol was still raised, but her hand was trembling slightly. There was no logic to that approach. No mathematical basis. "You used food adhesive and poison." "Gum and whiskey," I corrected. "And yeah, that's kind of our thing." She holstered her weapons slowly. Around us, her squad of Arxelian warriors stood frozen, unsure how to process what they'd witnessed. "You saved my life, human. I saved my life. You just happened to be here. Nevertheless." She straightened, and I saw the conflict in her eyes, pride warring with something else. Curiosity, maybe. I am not accustomed to owing debts to lesser species. Lesser species. I stood, brushing dust from my knees. "Right? Well, this lesser species just saved your fleet's flagship from becoming a space-time crater. You're welcome." I turned to leave, but her voice stopped me. Wait. I looked back. Commander Vera Kethshan, terror of the Arxilian Third Fleet, was studying me like I was a puzzle she couldn't solve. The Vrexel planted this bomb for a reason. They knew I would be here, on this station, at this time. That means you have a spy in your ranks, I finished. And the Vrexel aren't done. This was just the opening move. Her jaw tightened. My fleet is in danger. Your fleet. My salvage team. This whole sector. I sighed. Look, Commander, I don't like you. Your people have treated humans like garbage for decades. But the Vrexel are worse. They don't just conquer, they exterminate. So here's the deal. Let me and my team help you find the spy and stop whatever the Vrexel are planning, and maybe we all survive the week. She was quiet for a long moment. I could see her pride fighting against necessity, her contempt for humans battling against the evidence of what I'd just done. Finally, she spoke. You have unconventional methods, Sergeant Cole. That's one way to put it. If you betray me, I will kill you personally. Wouldn't expect anything less. She extended her hand, a human gesture, I realized. She'd learned it somewhere. Then we have an agreement, temporary. I shook her hand. Her grip was strong, her skin surprisingly warm. Temporary, I agreed. But as I looked into those violet eyes, I had a feeling nothing about this was going to be temporary at all. The Arxelian dreadnought Void's edge was 3 kilometers of death, wrapped in elegant silver hull plating. I had seen ships like it glass human colonies during the border wars. Walking through its corridors as a guest felt like being a mouse invited to dinner by a cat. Your quarters, Toreth said, his disdain barely concealed. The commander has granted you access to Deck 7 only. Attempt to enter restricted areas and the security systems will respond. Vaporize me. Got it. I tossed my bag onto the narrow bunk. Cozy. You are a tool, human. Nothing more. When your usefulness ends, Toreth. Vera's voice cut through the corridor. She approached with the fluid grace of a predator, her armor replaced by a fitted command uniform that somehow made her look even more dangerous. Leave us. He hesitated. Commander, I must advise against. I said leave. Toreth shot me a look of pure hatred, then departed. Vera stepped into my quarters, and the door sealed behind her. Your subordinate doesn't like me, I observed. Toreth lost his brother to human raiders on the fringe. His hatred is personal. Human raiders. I sat on the bunk. You mean the desperate refugees your empire pushed into lawless space when you conquered their colonies? Her eyes flashed. We did not. She stopped, took a breath. We are not here to debate history, Sergeant. No. We're here because someone on your ship wants you dead. I pulled out a data pad. I've been analyzing the bomb's components. The quantum core was Vrexel, but the housing? The trigger mechanism? Arxelian military grade. Someone on the ship provided materials. Vera's expression didn't change, but I saw her hands clench. You're certain? The alloy signature matches your ship's fabrication system. Whoever built that bomb had access to your engineering bay. She turned away, staring out the small viewport at the stars. For a moment, she looked tired. Not physically, something deeper. I have commanded this vessel for 12 years. These are my people, my family, and one of them is a traitor. Yes, the word was barely a whisper. I stood, moved closer. Not too close. I wasn't stupid, but close enough to see the tension in her shoulders. Commander, Vera.O. I know this is hard, but if we don't find the spy, the Vrexel will hit again. And next time, I might not be there with gum and whiskey. She turned, and I was struck by how close we were. I could see the faint luminescent patterns under her skin. Bioluminescence, I remembered. Arxelians glowed when they felt strong emotions. Right now, she was glowing very faintly. Why do you help us, human? Your people have no love for the Arxelian Empire. No, we don't. I held her gaze. But I've seen what the Vrexel do. I was at New Helsinki when they hit. Watched them process an entire city, men, women, children, into biological fuel for their ships. Took me 3 years to stop seeing it every time I closed my eyes. Her expression softened, just slightly. I did not know humans were at New Helsinki. There's a lot you don't know about us. We're not just vermin to be conquered or ignored. We're survivors, adapters. We've been fighting extinction since we crawled out of the mud on Earth, and we're still here. I stepped back, so yeah, I'll help you. Not because I like you, because the Vrexel are worse, and because maybe, just maybe, if we work together, your people might start seeing mine as something other than pests. Vera was quiet for a long moment. Then she did something I didn't expect. She laughed. It was short, surprised, like she hadn't meant to do it. You are not what I expected, Marcus Cole. I get that a lot. Very well. She straightened. Commander, once more. We will work together. I will give you access to crew manifests, duty rosters, communication logs. Find my traitor. And when I do, her eyes went cold. Then I will deal with them personally. Over the next 2 days, I dove into the data. The Void's Edge had a crew of 4,000, but I narrowed the suspect list quickly. The bomb materials came from Engineering Bay 3, which meant someone with level 6 clearance or higher. That left 47 suspects. I interviewed them one by one, using techniques that baffled the Arxelians. They expected interrogation, formal, logical, by the book. I played cards with them, shared drinks, told jokes. You're wasting time, Torith complained during one session. This engineer knows nothing. His psychological profile shows complete loyalty. His psychological profile shows what he wants you to see. I watched the engineer, a young male named Keth, laugh at a story I'd told. But did you notice how he tensed when I mentioned Deck 12? How his bioluminescence flickered when I talked about the bomb? Torith frowned. I saw nothing. That's because you were looking for lies. I was looking for fear. That night, I followed Keth to a maintenance junction on Deck 12. He didn't see me. Humans, it turned out, were much better at moving quietly than Arxelians expected. We'd evolved as persistence hunters after all. Patience was in our DNA. Keth accessed a hidden terminal and began transmitting. I recorded everything. When I brought the evidence to Vera, she watched the footage in silence. Keth was transmitting fleet positions, patrol schedules, the commander's personal itinerary. He was my student, she said quietly. I trained him myself. I'm sorry. No, you're not. She looked at me. But I appreciate the pretense. Keth was arrested within the hour. Under interrogation, Arxelian style, which I didn't watch, he revealed the Vrexel's plan. A full assault on the Void's Edge. 3 hunter-killer ships already en route. They would arrive in 6 hours. We cannot win this fight, Torith said in the command briefing. 3 Vrexel hunters against 1 dreadnought. The mathematics are clear. We must retreat. If we retreat, they'll pursue, another officer argued. Vrexel hunters are faster. They'll catch us in open space, where we have no advantages. Then we die fighting. It is the Arxelian way. No, die. Vera's voice silenced the room. We do not die. We win. Commander, with respect, how? She looked at me. The entire command staff turned to stare at the human in the corner. Sergeant Cole. You said humans are adapters. Survivors. Her violet eyes held mine. Prove it. How do we survive this? Every Arxelian in the room radiated skepticism. Torith looked like he wanted to throw me out an airlock. I smiled. Well, I said, how do you all feel about cheating? This is insanity, Torith said for the 5th time. Absolute insanity. You've mentioned that. I continued welding the modified beacon to the asteroid's surface. Hand me the quantum resonator. He passed it over, still shaking his head. We are Arxelians. We do not hide. We do not deceive. We face our enemies with honor and die gloriously. Yeah, I've heard the speech. I finished the weld and checked the beacon's power supply. Here's the thing about glory, Torith. Dead people don't enjoy it. I'd rather be alive and clever than dead and honorable. You have no honor. I have plenty of honor. I just define it differently. I stood, stretching my back. To me, honor means protecting the people who depend on you. It means coming home to your family. It means winning, not because you were stronger, but because you were smarter. Torith was quiet for a moment. That is, not entirely without merit. High praise from you. We'd been working for 4 hours. My salvage team and a reluctant group of Arxelian engineers. The asteroid field near the void's edge was dense. Thousands of rocks ranging from pebbles to small moons. Perfect for what I had planned. The Vrexel expected a straight fight. Their doctrine was simple. Overwhelming force, direct assault, no mercy. They'd studied Arxelian tactics for centuries and knew exactly how the Void's Edge would respond. They hadn't studied humans. Beacon 7 is active, my second-in-command, Lieutenant Chen, reported over comms. That's all 12 in position. Good. Get back to the ship. It's almost time. I looked out at the asteroid field, now seeded with modified beacons. Each one would broadcast a false signature, making it look like the Void's Edge was in 12 places at once. The Vrexel would have to split their forces or waste time determining which signal was real. But that was just the first layer. Back on the Void's Edge, Vera was waiting in the command center. The main display showed 3 red dots approaching, the Vrexel hunters, right on schedule. Your beacons are active, she said. The enemy will be confused, but not for long. Their sensors will eventually determine which signature is genuine. That's what I'm counting on. I pulled up a tactical display. When they figure out the real ship, they'll converge. All 3 hunters coming straight at us. And then we spring the trap. I explained the plan. It was risky, insane, Torith would say. But it used everything I knew about Vrexel psychology. They were predators, pure and simple. They couldn't resist wounded prey. You want me to vent atmosphere from 3 decks, Vera said slowly. To make it appear we're damaged, crippled, dying, easy prey. And when they close in for the kill, I smiled. That's when we show them what humans learned from a few million years of hunting things bigger than us. The Vrexel arrived like sharks smelling blood. Their hunters were ugly ships, organic-looking, covered in what appeared to be scales or chitin. They moved through space with an eerie grace, circling the asteroid field as they analyzed the false signatures. They're confused, Chen reported. Spreading out to investigate the beacons. Good. Begin. Phase 2. The Void's Edge started venting atmosphere. From the outside, it would look like catastrophic damage, a dying ship, helpless and alone. The Vrexel took the bait. All 3 hunters converged, abandoning the false signatures. They could taste victory. An Arxelian dreadnought, crippled and ready for harvest. They're entering the kill zone, Torith said. His voice was tense, but I heard something else there too. Excitement. Wait for it. The hunters closed in. 1 kilometer. 800 meters. 500. Now. The asteroids we'd modified exploded. Not with fire, with electromagnetic pulses. 12 simultaneous MP bursts, carefully positioned to create a cascading interference pattern. The Vrexel hunters' organic systems went haywire, their sensors blinded, their weapons offline. "All batteries, fire!" Vera commanded. The void's edge lit up like a sun. Every weapon system, every missile tube, every plasma cannon, all focused on the three blinded, helpless hunters. The first hunter died in seconds, torn apart by concentrated fire. The second tried to flee, but we'd planned for that. Chen's salvage ship, a tiny thing compared to the warships, darted in and attached magnetic mines to its hull. The explosion was beautiful. The third hunter was damaged, but still fighting. Its weapons came back online and it scored a hit on the void's edge. The ship shuddered. Alarms screamed. "Hull breach on Deck 9!" someone shouted. "Casualties reported. Maintain fire." Vera ordered. "All power to forward batteries." But the hunter was adapting, using the asteroid field for cover. It was hurt, but not dead, and Vrexel's ships could regenerate. "We need to finish it now," I said. "Before it heals. Our weapons cannot penetrate its cover. Then we go in person." I was already moving toward the door. "I need a boarding shuttle and volunteers. You'll die. Maybe. Maybe." I stopped, looked back at her. "But if that thing escapes, it'll bring reinforcements. Your whole fleet will be at risk. Your people." Vera held my gaze for a long moment. Then she did something that shocked everyone in the command center. "I'm coming with you, Commander!" Toreth stepped forward. "You cannot. I can, and I will." She was already moving, grabbing a weapon from a wall rack. "Sergeant Cole is right. This ends now, and I will not send others to die while I watch from safety." The boarding shuttle was cramped with 10 of us inside. Me, Vera, and 8 Arxilian warriors. The hunter loomed ahead, its hull pulsing with that disturbing organic rhythm. "The core will be in the center," Vera said, checking her plasma rifle. "Vrexel ships are grown, not built. Destroy the core, and the entire vessel dies." Sounds simple. It will not be. The interior is hostile. The ship itself will fight us. Great. Gaul. "Anything else?" She looked at me, and for a moment, her expression softened. "Marcus, if we do not survive this, I want you to know that I was wrong about humans. You are not lesser. You are different. And perhaps that difference is exactly what the galaxy needs. Save the eulogy for after we win." She almost smiled. "Optimism, another human trait, damn right." We breached the hull and entered hell. The interior of the Vrexel ship was like being inside a living creature. Walls that pulsed, floors that shifted, air that tasted like copper and rot. Vrexel drones attacked immediately. Insectoid things with too many limbs and razor-sharp appendages. We fought through them. The Arxelians were impressive, disciplined, precise, deadly. But they fought like soldiers, following doctrine and training. I fought like a human. Dirty. Unpredictable. I used the environment, the enemy's own weapons, anything I could grab. When a drone cornered me, I didn't try to outfight it. I collapsed a wall section on top of it. "That was not tactically sound," Vera said, pulling me from the rubble. "But it worked. Yes." She was breathing hard, her bioluminescence flickering rapidly. "It worked. We lost 3 warriors reaching the core. Good soldiers, dead because of a war they didn't start. I made myself remember their faces. Someone should." The core chamber was massive, a pulsing organic heart the size of a house, surrounded by Vrexel guardians. These weren't drones. These were warriors, intelligent and deadly. "We'll never fight through them," one of the Arxelians said. "There are too many. We don't need to fight through them." I was studying the chamber, looking for something. "There. We need to distract them. How?" I pulled out my last piece of equipment. A small device, cobbled together from salvage and hope. "This is a modified distress beacon. When I activate it, it'll broadcast a signal, that Vrexel interpret as a queen's death cry. Every guardian in this chamber will rush to protect a queen that doesn't exist. For how long? Maybe 30 seconds. Enough time for someone to reach the core and plant explosives. Someone. Vera understood. You mean you. I'm the fastest. The smallest. The most expendable. You are not, she stopped herself, Marcus. This is suicide. Maybe. Probably. I met her eyes. But it's the only way. And I'd rather die saving people than live knowing I didn't try. She stared at me for a long moment. Then she grabbed my face and pressed her forehead to mine. An Arxelian gesture, I realized. Intimate. Meaningful. Come back, she said. That is an order. Yes, Commander. I activated the beacon and ran. The Guardians scattered exactly as predicted, rushing toward phantom signals while I sprinted for the core. 30 seconds. I had 30 seconds. The organic floor tried to trap me, tendrils rising to grab my legs. I jumped, rolled, kept moving. 25 seconds. A Guardian spotted me, one that hadn't fallen for the trick. It lunged, claws extended. I dove under its strike, came up with my knife, and jammed the blade into what I hoped was a vital organ. It screamed and fell. I didn't stop to celebrate. 20 seconds. The core loomed ahead, pulsing with sickly light. I could feel it now. A pressure in my mind, the Vrexel ship trying to understand me, to absorb me. Sorry, I muttered. I'm not that digestible. I reached the core and slapped the explosive charge against its surface. The detonator was simple, a 5-second timer. Enough time to run. Probably not enough time to escape. I armed it and turned to flee. A Guardian blocked my path. The big one, the leader. It had figured out the trick and come back. 10 seconds on the bomb. The Guardian advanced. I had no weapons left, no tricks, no clever human solutions. Just me and a monster and a countdown to oblivion. Marcus! Vera's voice. She appeared behind the Guardian, plasma rifle raised. Down! I dropped. She fired. The Guardian's head exploded. Vera grabbed my arm and hauled me up, and we ran together as the bomb counted down its final seconds. 5, 4, 3. We dove through a breach in the hull into open space. The cold hit me like a hammer, but Vera was there, her arms around me, her body shielding mine as the shuttle swooped in to catch us. 2. 1. Dill. The Vrexel ship died. It didn't explode. It collapsed, folding in on itself as the core's destruction cascaded through its organic systems. Within seconds, there was nothing left but drifting debris. Inside the shuttle, I gasped for breath. Vera was beside me, her own breathing ragged, her bioluminescence blazing like a star. You came back for me, I managed. I gave you an order to return. You were taking too long. So you decided to fetch me personally? I am a commander. I do not leave my people behind. I'm not your people. Hiel. She looked at me, and something in her expression made my heart skip. Perhaps, she said quietly, you are now. The aftermath was chaos, loss reports, damage assessments, communications with the Arxelian High Command. The Void's Edge had survived, but barely. 47 dead, over 100 wounded. But we'd won. 3 Vrexel hunters destroyed, their invasion plan shattered. I found Vera on the observation deck, staring out at the stars. She'd changed out of her combat gear, wearing a simple uniform that made her look almost normal, almost approachable. The High Command is impressed, she said without turning. A human helped save an Arxelian dreadnought. They don't know what to make of it. What do you make of it? She turned. In the starlight, her silver-blue skin seemed to glow. I think I have been wrong about many things. About humans. About honor. About what it means to be strong. She stepped closer. You taught me that strength is not just power. It is adaptation. Creativity. And the willingness to do whatever is necessary to protect those you care about. I just did what any human would do. No. Bauset. She shook her head. You did what Marcus Cole would do. And I am grateful. We stood in silence for a moment, close enough to touch. What happens now? I asked. Now? The Vrexel will retaliate. This was just the beginning of a larger war. The Arxelian Empire will need allies. She paused. We will need humans. That's a big change from lesser species. Yes, it is. She met my eyes. I intend to recommend a formal alliance to the High Command. Human and Arxelian, fighting together. It will not be easy. There is much history between our peoples. Much pain. But I believe it is possible. I believe it because of you. She reached out, her fingers brushing my hand. I would like you to be part of it, Marcus. As an advisor. A liaison. A pause. A friend. I looked at her. This proud, powerful woman who had started by pressing a gun to my head and ended by saving my life. Who had learned to see humans as equals. Who had changed. I have one condition, I said. Name it. Next time there's a bomb, I get to make the dramatic speech. She laughed. A real laugh, warm and surprised. Agreed. I took her hand properly, and we stood together watching the stars. Somewhere out there, the Vrexel were planning their next move. Somewhere out there, war was brewing that would shake the galaxy. But right now, in this moment, a human and an Arxelian had found something rare. Understanding, respect, and maybe, just maybe, the beginning of something more. You know, I said, when you held that gun to my head, I never imagined we'd end up here, nor did I. She squeezed my hand. But I am glad we did. Yeah. I smiled. Me too. Outside, the stars burned, eternal, indifferent to the small dramas of mortals. But mortals have a way of mattering anyway. Of finding hope in darkness, connection in conflict, love in the strangest places. That's the human way. And maybe, just maybe, it was becoming the Arxelian way too.